Hey there guys, welcome to the season opener of Season 6 of Real Features, and today, because you can see it's daytime, we're kicking off with DeadPool, starring Ryan Reynolds reprising his role from when he was just Wade Wilson from X-Men Origins Wolverine, a movie we don't like to talk about. Is this going to be as true to the comics as it should be? From what I've been hearing, it's not doing so bad so far, considering Rotten Tomatoes gave it 100%. Now, whether that's bought and paid for, that's completely up to you. But for me, I'm always going to give it a look before I give my 2 cents. Well folks, I'm back in the crow's nest about to do the editing, but I thought I would say something a little bit more, how to say this, a little bit more in detail, because the only reason I'm saying a little bit more in this version is because I had about that much battery power left before it conked out on me. So let's get into the writing. The writing is absolutely sharp. The jokes in regards to fourth wall breaking humor, it's almost as if DeadPool is actually writing and directing this movie as he goes along by just reacting to what's going on in scenes and then relaying it to people in the audience, which is pretty much how Deadpool was in the comics. He didn't do that in Hulk vs. Wolverine. He was out there, you know, in terms of the personality of what Wade Wilson is like, but I like the fact they humanized him just a little bit. You know, he's still Deadpool the way we all like him, but Ryan was able to make you feel sympathy for the character. You know, Deadpool has never been a goody two-shoes character. Let's just get into the fine details now. Deadpool is never going to be one of those characters that is like a Superman or a Captain America or even Vision. Deadpool is like, what if Spider-Man went to the wrong side of the tracks? Make of that what you will. Now, Morena Baccarin, I hope I pronounced that right, who some of you may recognize as Dr. Leslie Tompkins on Gotham. This is actually very interesting to see her play with a little darker side of humor, because on Gotham she's pretty much calls it down the middle as Lee, but is quite sincere, quite compassionate with the stuff that she does on Gotham. Here, it's almost like she's stepping out of her comfort zone and having fun by not playing such a moralistic character and just doing, you know, the sort of things that you could want to say and do as a late teen or in your early 20s and basically not give a damn. So that was fun to see her play with that kind of dynamic. TJ Miller as Weasel, he adds a real... This guy is just as foul-mouthed as Wade, Deadpool, depending on which way you refer to Ryan Reynolds' character as. This guy just doesn't know when to stop it with the explicitives nor the rather crude humor. But it's one of those things where one character has that person that they can turn to as a best friend. So Superman has Jimmy Olsen, Spider-Man has, at one stage, Harry Osborn, and Batman has Commissioner Gordon or Alfred. So, you know, there's always that confidant, and, you know, there's a nice dynamic between the two of them, so I like that. Ed Skrein as Francis, or Ajax, or Ajax, depending on where you are in the world. The guy plays a really top grade A, no money back guarantee royal douchebag, and this is where I will get into his performance in a moment, but Hollywood, just between you and me here, can we really stop it with making British characters, grade A a-holes in a movie, particularly on a high budget scale, like DeadPool, or, you know, any other time that, you know, there's been a British actor in a movie. I can't think off the one off the top of my head, so that's my bad. But the whole thing where, you know, we're made out to be the heels, the bad guys. Can we stop it? You know, it's a running trope, stereotype, and cliche. And normally I'm okay with cliches and gimmicks. I mean, heck, you know, you're talking to a guy that loves corny liners and cheesiness, but the whole thing with with Brits, English people, limeys, call us what you will. We've had it with the bad guy shtick. Can we stop it, please? You know, I'm not saying we've got to do a complete 180 and Americans are all the bad guys. No. It's not what I'm suggesting at all. Why can't we just have, you know, an American good guy and a British good guy? You know, can we stop it? You know, we've had enough with the whole we're always the bad guys. But of course, with the lone exception being James Bond, and by extension I mean a good James Bond. So if you're Pierce Brosnan, Sean Connery, Roger Moore, or Timothy Dalton, you guys rock. If you're Daniel Craig or George Lazenby, I'm sorry guys, and this is just my opinion, but you suck. I'm sorry. I don't like Daniel Craig as Bond. I mean, he's a good actor, yes, but is he Bond? How to put this in terms of perspective that you all can understand. Daniel Craig is James Bond like Matthew Broderick was Inspector Gadget. Broderick's a good actor, but he's not Gadget. You know? And like I say, in the same way, Craig is not Bond. I'm sorry. I don't rate him as Bond. The same way I don't rate Eva Marie as a wrestler, but that's a different subject. But yeah. Long tangent short, stop making us the bad guys. Now, Ed Skrein, the guy sold it as a complete, you know, hateable rogue douchebag. You know, there is no point in this movie where you're rooting for this guy. Every time you see him on screen, it's like, I want to go some, you know? So, I like Colossus. He really struck me at... I really should rephrase that, considering how powerful this guy is. He really comes across as somebody who's a gentle giant. You know, this guy can remodel your face. That would take plastic surgeons about a good 20 years to put it back to what you thought it used to look like. But the guy's got a heart of gold, and I like that. Brianna Hildeband as Negasonic Teenage Warheads. Again, on the subject of cliches, a little bit, you know, not something I would do for, you know, considering when I tone back on cliches, for angsty young adolescent teenager saying very little, and when they do say something, it's usually insulting or putting someone down. But for what the material that she was given to work with, I thought she did alright. Score. I thought the score really added to moments where it's just full-on slapstick humor, but then there's moments where the movie gets really deep. You know, there's these moments of contemplation and soul-searching that Wade does, which... it's the only time I can think of a comparison to where I've seen something similar to this before is the episode EOS from the first season of Thunderbirds Are Go, where John Tracy says to the AI program EOS, if you don't believe me now, you can open the airlock and blow me into space. And there's this moment where everybody's just all looking around at this scene, and all the other characters questioning what's going on. It's like, this is a bit deep for a kid's show about Thunderbirds and, by extension, international rescue. And similar method applies here, because Deadpool's not one of those characters where he searches for contemplation or he's looking within himself. Again, words of that description. All in all, I can fully rate this movie. It's definitely a refreshing change of pace where, you know, it's not like a superhero movie that's humorless. I mean, DC, seriously, guys, give us some humor. You know, Iron Man and the Avengers, and by extension, the first Amazing Spider-Man, second one, not so much, have proved that you can have these serious issues that go on in a movie, but add humor. With the Dark Knight trilogy, I think maybe one or two jokes are dropped. It's like it's like like a little chuckle. I mean, with Superman, it would have been nice in Man of Steel if he cracked a few more jokes. You know, not to get you, you know, rolling around in the floor, grabbing the side of your chest. I'm not asking for that. All I just want is just something to lighten the mood. And Chris Nolan, you're a great director, but you are responsible for making these superhero movies too dark, too bland, and, you know, really, you know, too brooding. Batman is there to be brooding. With the Dark Knight trilogy, it works. It's perfect. But Superman's not meant to be angsty and broody. Neither is Spider-Man. And I'm glad with Iron Man, you know, they actually managed to get Tony Stark to actually have humor about himself. So that's another long tangent short. But yeah, I can fully rate Deadpool. If you haven't seen it, please go see it. You know, you will get your money's worth and then some. And by extension now, I am issuing this challenge to X-Men Apocalypse and Captain America Civil War. I dare you to outdo what Deadpool did. Deadpool gets a must. Thank you for watching this extended edition, and I'll see you next time. Good night.